All right, welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm Hector.
How you doing, Hector?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You just came from the beach, didn't you?
I did come from the beach. Took our dog to the beach. He's 1 year old, and we finally got around to getting him out to the beach and stuff. So we're trying to get him to acclimate to the public, and it was a little stressful, but I had fun.
I'll tell you what, man. We're blessed, man. We get to go to the beach all the time. So cool.
I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have Dave McWane with us from Big D and the Kids Table. How's it going, man?
Going great.
Yeah, cool. Among other things, I should say, Big D and the Kids Table and all sorts of other projects too. And so the main reason we wanted to get you on the show is the Interrupters and you guys and the Slackers are coming to Florida soon, right?
Yeah, what a bill.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we'd played like a couple one-offs with the Slackers throughout the like 28 years, like festival here, festival there, but no like proper time spent. And then we just did a tour with them last year. And of course we were like instant buddy bands.
Yeah.
And so this tour, this little run with the Interrupters is super great because we get to revisit that. You know what I mean? You get so close on tour and then everybody has to break up for a while, not see each other for a while. And so we're having a reunion. Interrupters, Slackers, Big D.
Nice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Have you guys played many gigs with the Interrupters before?
We did a tour with them with Less Than Jake and a bunch of here and there's.
Right.
I think at the start of their career, we saw them pretty often.
I think it's pretty nice that, there's a band out there that has really broken through, that people who don't really listen to ska know about again, because it's been a long time, to be honest with you, that wasn't the case. And having the Interrupters there just as like a beacon of, this is still a thing, it's cool.
Well, Joe Goodman, the Boston's, bass fiddleman, he said it really good. Like they were just popping out, and I said something. They just like officially exploded, if you will, whatever it was. Like something had occurred, and I was like, "Hey, you hear about the Interrupters?" And he's like, "How great is it?" Because when that happens, of course. But just to say it, a whole bunch of new people get turned on to the style because the style is so underground compared to how much other genres are put on the plates of newly 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are like, they don't, they're not getting that food option served to them. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it takes like what they call like a shepherd, like your older brother or sister, somebody who's like, no. You can listen to all that, but there's also underground music.
Yeah.
And so, not to keep being long-winded, but We Are the Union, Kill Lincoln, and Catbite were already like putting the pillars down on the road. And then by having the Interrupters skyrocket and hit the big fireworks into the air, everything was in position for the next wave.
I know, yeah. And I tell you what, like I've been following along. So I was in this, in up to my neck in the ska scene for many, many years. And then I moved to the US and I took a bit of a left turn, and I was doing with my band Killbillies, which isn't ska. I mean, I play quite a lot of offbeats on the guitar, but I think that's just like muscle memory. But recently I've kind of been sort of refocusing in on it and reaching out to some of my old contacts and stuff, of which you were one. We've been working on some stuff, and getting back into it. I've been listening to a lot of the new stuff that's coming out, and it's coming alive again. It's great to see. It's really, really great to see.
I also have to mention, because we're talking about it in the States, but Death of Guitar Pop, that band in the UK.
Yeah.
I think they're fantastic. Like,
yeah,
I just have to say, like, when you're buying records sometimes, and you may or may not realize it, but you already have a thing way back in your head that you're hoping it sounds like. And then if the artist does it, you go, yeah, I like that. Like, yeah, that's what I was hoping. Death of Guitar Pop's songs, some of the songs are songs that I've been hoping to hear for like 2 decades and haven't.
That's awesome.
And I'm oh, yeah, yes, and I'm just devouring it.
No, that's fantastic, and I agree with you. And I've listened to him a bit, but it sounds like I need to pay a bit more attention. That's for sure.
Rickety Old Train. Check out Rickety Old Train. I think is one of the best songs in the world.
That's awesome. Oh, that's killer, man.
That's the thing, though. Like you were talking about how Interrupters kind of blew up and you were talking about the younger generation now kind of discovering ska, but in that same vein, I mean, the older generation is kind of rediscovering ska. I mean, my wife and I, man, we've listened, Boss Tones and things like that, like for years, and it was just kind of, I don't know, we went through this phase. We started listening to some grunge and started listening to some rock and this and that, and just kind of fell out of it a little bit. And then, someone like the Interrupters all of a sudden is on like mainstream radio. It's not anything special. You're, any special station. You're just turning on the regular radio, and in between the regular pop stuff that everybody else is listening to, here come the Interrupters, and we go, oh shit, that's amazing. Yeah. I really like that. And it's kind of reinvigorated ska for us. So we've been listening to a lot of that stuff again, Yeah.
And I feel like it needs to be mentioned real quick that, there's obviously going to be like sort of people that hate on that a little bit because of all the work that's been going on behind the scenes, like forever and ever while the Interrupters weren't a thing. Yeah. But by the same token, they are great though. That's the thing. They're good. So I mean, you can't, you can't hate it.
It's I'll bring it to here. This is a little weird, but if you ask me, ska's like a miracle.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like whenever like the worst things happen, like the locusts come and like
the plagues,
the world and everything in society, and it's just everyone's waking up more down than they usually are. COVID. Like the endless problems with the orange millionaire in our life, and people realize, right, that they don't have to take a plane to a vacation spot to listen to reggae and ska, come back home spending a ton of money and go, oh, I needed that.
Yeah.
You can listen to that music at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
Everyone, they need ska and reggae in their life to feel good, but they always feel like they have to leave their house and go to
and it's a far preferable, I mean, R.I.P. of course, and no shade on Jimmy Buffett, but it's a far preferable option than listening to Jimmy Buffett as well.
But that's the thing about ska, though. You're absolutely right. It is feel good music. Like people it really is.
Yeah,
yeah. I was listening to your newest album, Do Your Art, today, driving around in my car, and it's just bouncing off the walls. It's like you're just puts you in such a good mood. And by the way, what an album! You did a great job on that.
Yeah, great album.
Thank you so much, because I really love that album. I mean, I think you can kind of tell by we put a lot of care in every little bell and whistle. Yeah. But if you're a Big D fan or something, like, to me, it's like How It Goes on Crack. It's like almost, I want to say, but people will pass it off. It's almost like every Big D record in one record, almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there was a lot of freedom that was going on that record. And I think Big D has our most fun when we always give ourselves freedom, of course, because we're not, young writers should hear this, because we're not writing to get on K-Rock. Do you know what I mean? If you're writing, if that's your end game, then it's going to change your arrangements. It's going to change what you're going to say. It's consciously or unconsciously. But we don't, that's never been a goal for us, Yeah. And so got to write those fun 45-second song, 1 minute songs, do a co-song with Melt Banana. I mean, love that record. So thanks for listening.
Great album title too, by the way. I love it.
The horns just sound electric. The horns sound so big and good. The rhythm section is so tight and popping, and like your vocals on it are just like perfect. That is a great album. It really is.
But I'll hold that with me, because it's like, the music industry is so crazy that sometimes you need your friend to tell you they like your record. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
totally. You have listeners who listen to it, and that means a lot. But whenever you try to have your friends sit down and listen to it, sometimes that's hard. Like they talk through it, or that they do this funny one I always say of, you know what you should do, and it's like my grandmother had the best one. She goes, you know what you should do? You should write a song everybody likes.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
And I go, what? He goes, you got to get your song on the radio. That way everybody can hear it.
You know what Barney always used to say, people would say to him? He was like, he had some like relatives that would say to him, oh, that's a great song. Why don't you put it in the charts?
just put it there.
Yeah.
It's like, go ahead, tell me. I only do this every day. What?
It's funny. I just had I was just on a trip, an art trip to Colombia, and there was some artist friends of mine there, and they we were talking about Killbillies and the band that I'm in with Ben, and so they were like, oh yeah, let me hear some of the songs, and it's just like you said. I would put it on, and I set the phone on the coffee table, and probably 15 seconds into it, everybody's having a conversation about something else, and I'm like, but did you really want to hear it, or did you not want to hear it? I don't know what the vibe is here.
That ever has a friend that plays them the song or an album, I know it's hard, but don't say anything until it's over, and try to find something positive to say after
that. Yeah, totally. But by the same token, I do remember being that guy though back in the day where I'm not that guy anymore. Well, not as much anyway. Where I'd be like, I'd sort of somehow trick people into coming into my home studio and then glare at them while they listen to my song, so listen to it now.
He says he's not that guy anymore, but literally about 15 seconds before we started recording this podcast with you, he goes, check out my new ska song, and then just sat there and bopped his head and listened to it in silence for the entire song. But he's not that guy anymore.
Yeah, he's looking forward to change.
It's funny. So yeah, we've been doing a little bit of collaboration on a thing that I've been trying to put together called Nina's Yard Party, and what I found with that is firstly how generous all you guys have been with your time and how enthusiastic you've been about it. And I think that one of the things that I love about the ska scene in general is that by and large there's this kind of excitement and desire to collaborate. It seems like a part of it. It's cool. Is that punk rock thing where people are just people up for it? They're up for DIY things. There's not like as much of a snobbishness that goes along. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, I noticed two things. One, I noticed as well. I was one of the people, and I was very excited to get the bat signal from you. But I noticed too how everybody else that I knew and didn't know were just as excited. And I think that's because of you. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's certain guitar players like, one could say Nate Albert from the Bosstones, and, people know what I'm talking about, but like it was hard to imagine Sonic Boom 6 without you. Do you know what I mean? It was hard to imagine it. Of course, the Bosstones and Sonic have done great, but you were one of those guitar players that's like, but it's Ben. Do you know what I mean? How does it stop there? How does it keep going from there? So yeah. I was really excited about that, but I think you're right. I mean, I think a key thing, sometimes I speak a lot to like younger musicians, and everybody always has to remember it's not a competition. There's not like a certain amount of seats in the movie theater or a certain amount of seats on the bus. Like your peers are your scene. You know what I mean? Like if you want to take down the music industry, look at it as like Goliath, and you need as much friends taking them down as you can.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, there can be jazz snobs, and I can make a joke that whatever ska snobs you ever meet, they just weren't good enough to be jazz snobs. Don't let a ska snob, get you.
Yeah, that's really funny. No, yeah, I just found it really great. And also it kind of ties in with the whole thing of being able to work with Layla and Barney again, which is something I was missing in my life. So I'm super happy that we're doing it. We're currently in the process of figuring out, making a video. We're going to do it. It's going to be great. So what's next? What's next for Big D and the kids table outside of touring? Have you guys sort of pointed your heads towards new recordings or anything like that?
I will get right to that, but I gotta throw. You mentioned Layla and Barney, and I heard Layla come in after me. Do you know what I mean? Come in after I did my verse.
Yeah,
like all the warm fuzzies. I got all like verklempt, because. First time I saw you guys play, Big D was in the Netherlands, and we just went to a club after we played, and someone nonchalantly, Ben Corrigan of like Hard Schemes, they're from the UK, and we're like, okay. And then that moment of hearing you guys play and having an extremely original sound and approach, years later, me being on a track with you, Barney, and Layla it's awesome. Like,
that's awesome.
Super proud of it,
Oh, that means a lot. It means a lot coming from you, and and I just feel like that's how doing this whole project has felt to me as well. It's felt like a little bit of a coming home, and like a little bit of acknowledgement that that I'm taken seriously with all you guys, and I'm making me very happy, and I'm putting a ton of work into it too.
So in Big D world, we're doing probably one of the most exciting moments. There's a lot of different exciting moments in the, when you're starting to write a record or when you finish writing a record, the whole process. And what we just did was we kind of defined what we're going to write. Sometimes we talk about the menu before we start cooking, if you're making a French menu, you don't want someone coming in with a really good lasagna because you're like, it's the wrong, it's not part of the menu. You know what I mean? So we about the flavoring, if you will, of the record, and we're super excited about it. And we've all kind of started our first songs, our first demos. And so it's that seedling time, which is really exciting. You know what I mean? And then there's the building and then the recording and letting it out. But so we just started to get our little seedlings together. And
nice. I feel like the seedling time is my favorite time because that's the time when it's pure idea. It's like that's the best job in the company is to be able to be the person with the kind of like, the direction the company's going to take, or the idea stuff. And, once you get into the details and into the, where you start not being able to see the woods for the trees, that's where the work is. But at this point in time, this is the fun bit, it's the cool bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really, we got all like the, when you write down that one lyric, or what I do is I always, now that laptops, it used to be a notebook, of course, but now that it's I get my folders together and, it says right now in the center of my computer, Big D new record 2024. Like once I make that folder and then in the folder are all my other way of organizing it, you just know it's on.
Yeah.
On. And then when I retire that and the record's finally done and I put that folder on a different hard drive, that's the passing of the record. I know it's a lot of dorky stuff, but yeah, it's just exciting. And so then we also are going to do the Interrupter shows that you mentioned, Mustard Plug in October in California, and Rancid the weekend after next in Canada for 2 shows.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, festival that Rancid is on, and then one's a show. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, wicked. It sounds like you're doing a lot. And would you say, kind of getting back to what we were talking about before, would you say that this sort of new wave, if you can call it that, which I guess it is, would you say that has impacted the kind of shows you're playing lately?
Yeah, I think so, because we went to the UK and we played with Kill Lincoln and Catbite. And so, they're seeing that their whole world, obviously some fans are, like both bands, but it was fun for us to go and see it and be like, wow, this is wild. You know what I mean? Our shows, Slackers know their shows, but when you go into, they were the bringers of this new wave, and it's awesome. You're like, look, everyone's excited and wild. Everyone's wild.
So I was in Sonic Boom 6 from like 2000 to 2009, and and that was really like, that was the end of the third wave, and I watched ska slowly decline, and I watched it was basically replaced with emo is what happened. Like, I remember that. And there was that hilarious period of time where you'd have bands and half their songs were ska and half of them were emo.
And then they were doing emo with horns. It was tough times for those bands, Yeah,
totally.
The way I look at it with this new scene in like how it feels now, honestly, I don't know if this is presumptuous. I don't mean it to be, but like, I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of me. Like, the ska scene meant and means a lot to me.
Yeah.
It took me in, like we could all define, and I really wanted to make sure during the dry time, and the dry time was like 2000 to just a little while ago, that there was like a responsibility for Big D. And I kind of feel like we trudged through the non-wave times and kept ska going, kept the positive music going, kept the genre up there. And now that these new bands are here and the scene is in a new place and a new wave, I can rest. I did the quest. I did the Dungeons and Dragons quest. I brought the message to the castle, and now, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like I can enjoy the scene in a much different way. Now I'm part of the older group. You know what I mean?
No, I really respect that, and it's always how I've kind of viewed you guys as, you know, in the trenches, getting it done, you know, relentlessly touring and you know, with that DIY aesthetic and recording stuff yourselves and just doing everything like that. Like, it's, you know, a real proper kind of successful but sort of DIY band, which is you know, it's that true to the punk aesthetic and true to it all, and I always respected that of you guys, and you kept it going, and here I managed to come out the other side. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're on the other side, and it's just wild to be on the other side.
Hell yeah! I almost feel like my decision to make a ska record, it came out of being sober for a few years. And then being like, oh, I've got all of these people who I really respect as musicians, and I really like ska. I'm just going to give it another whirl. And I want to dispel any myths that it's because I saw ska getting popular again. It was just it was by chance.
No one should ever. The propaganda, they're only in it for the bucks. It's like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for real, man. So, yeah, I think you're going to be in. I think you're going to be in Fort Lauderdale on the 7th of November, and then I believe the day after. I know the Interrupters are going on the cruise. Are you guys going on that cruise?
Oh, we always get promised the cool cruises, but then
yeah, the same thing happened to us. Same thing happened to us about 5 years ago with my band, No Name Ska Band down here. We got bumped at the last minute as well. It sucks. But you're certainly much more worthy though. So you know, I don't know why they didn't let you guys on there. It sucks. Yeah. So well, that's cool. I'm coming to the gig. It'll be a blast. I think Hector's coming too.
Oh yeah, we got tickets already.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm still going to try and use my my I know a guy privilege.
What's great about that show is I always make the joke too that Big D's like the Anthrax of ska. Like, you know, Anthrax always opens up for bands. Do you know what I mean? We headline, you know, but I don't necessarily, I think I don't have as much fun headlining than I do opening up.
Yeah.
Do you know, because, you know, it's not, I don't necessarily want to throw a party, but I'll go to a party. Do you know what I mean? And like when you headline, when you're done playing, sometimes everyone's gone. You know what I mean? So this is going to be a lot of fun. And what I'm getting at is because, you know, when you're done playing, you get to sit back and watch bands play. So it's going to be really great.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like the energy's different. You know, you're almost there to like, I guess it depends on which band you're supporting, because if everyone is sort of in it together, you know, there's not this, but I used to really enjoy back in the day going on, you know, second and or first or second and trying to blow everyone else off the stage, you know?
Yeah. I would say I don't think that's ever going to now leave my body because, you know, grew up on metal, grew up on grunge. There was like an attitude, right? And then when you have to be in a ska band during, you know, 2000 to, you know, decade after that and more, there is we're going to be heavier than the hardcore bands. We're going to play ska better than the trad people. It's, you know, like going on stage was always way did they get a load of us? Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what we ran on in Sonic Boom 6. It was that, you know, that was the air we breathed, man. That's what and Barney and Layla was so like focused on that. It was like we'd get up there and we're like, all right, how can we get him, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that attitude. Yeah. And that's why I think I'm not as drawn to headlining shows, because when you headline a show, basically everyone there is saying, we already like what you're doing. And for me, that's more than I have to, not have to, but I am now going to entertain everybody. Everybody's already in an agreement and let's just have this perfect Disney thing. But I like going out there and being like, that guy hates us. And I'm gonna get him into it. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily I'm not that focused, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, there's a certain expectation when you're the headliner. Like you said, you know, the if you want to say the bulk of the people or the majority of the people there are there for the headlining act per se, and so there's a certain expectation as the headliner that like, oh, they're here to see me, I better deliver, as opposed to you get out there, you do your thing, and you have fun with it, and they don't like you, and if they do, man, awesome, you won some new people over, and that's an amazing feeling,
Yeah, I also feel like the hosting of if you're the headliner, you're essentially hosting the event.
Sure.
You got to make sure everyone's taken care of. You can't be that kind of like in and out, like a bank job type sort of, still, it's a whole different thing.
And then if you throw on top of it being the singer, you know what I mean? I don't know. That sucks. The singer in the headlining band of a show, like, I don't know. It's too like Sopranos. You're like, that's, don't be mean to that guy.
Yeah.
Too much pressure.
That's funny. So I was curious, in terms of your voice, like, do you do anything to maintain it? Like, how's that? How you been doing voice wise? Because I play a lot, right? And I sing the majority of the songs in my band, and I've started, doing warm ups and all this kind of thing, just because I've found as I've well, I say as I've got older, but the truth is, it was always this way. I think I just didn't care before. But but do you do anything to kind of take care of it?
It's so awesome that you're asking this question because Big D, because it's poignant right now in the band. So because Big D doesn't play like 200 and something shows a year anymore, where your voice kind of just, it stays the same. You're in normal life, and then you just you blast it out over a weekend or something. So you're traumatizing your voice, right?
Yeah.
And so I've lost my voice a couple times on the few runs that we're going through, and I do throat coat. And I try not to talk because, as some of you may know out there, like it's the talking at the show that's even worse for your voice than singing or screaming. And so, I try to just religiously do the Lauderdale throat coats and the tea and try to not talk. But there's this thing about vocal warm-ups, okay? And I'm a little too old maybe to have this attitude, but I have to explain it. I... again, was a metal grunge, punk rock ska kid who, was around like the theater people and the people who like to sing, but I was a drummer. And so I always heard those vocal warm-ups from theater people, and they always were just kind of annoying because they're kind of annoying. And so that, so I put that in the back of my head. And in the music industry, I wanted to be a drummer. Like, I'm a drummer through and through. So I look at music and I love it to death. But I happen to be a singer, it went that way. But what I'm getting at is, with drums, when I went to Berkeley, drummers would be like, "You don't know Neil Peart? You don't know this drummer? You don't religiously, just learn." And I go, once they started saying that to me, I started going, okay, I'm going to intentionally never listen to all the things that they're saying, because all the people who are saying that to me play the same.
Yeah.
So if I just plug into the same, it's the fear of being them or being a normal music.
Yeah.
So with me, not ever wanting whatever other singers want. I don't know what other singers want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes singers go, yeah, but that feeling when they're all like cheering for you, like that has no. It doesn't have to do with my character. Like, you'll never really see me ever going, say whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Control people. I don't want to control the crowd. Like, I don't want to tell them what to do. If they decide to dance away a certain way, or if they decide, but I'm never going to tell them to do it. And that's a thing that I've always kind of struggled with in the punk, hardcore, there's certain genres, that there's a lot of telling the crowd what to do. And I understand it's good. It's shepherding. It's entertainment. Some shy people need it. It's lovely, but it's not me. It's not anything I want to do. And so I don't do vocal warm-ups, because I want to see what it's like for a wild human who doesn't even want to be a singer. I want to know what that experience is. I don't want to know what they know. Because one more thing, some of the best musicians, quote unquote, like technical, they get to this level where they've moved past the beauty and magic of music, and now they're in the science of music, and they all have this jadedness.
Yeah.
And I want to run from that. I want to be 17 years old, 14 years old in my head. I know how my throat works. I can feel it. I know what to do, but I just don't want to be like all those people.
No, I totally get it. And one of the things that has always drawn me to you as a band, and also you specifically, is that you intellectually understand a lot of important things, and I think it comes through in the music. It's like you really viscerally understand that importance of originality, because there's and why that is an important thing, and why it's punk rock to do that, and you know, because you listen to your vocals. I was thinking about this with the stuff we were doing. No one else would have done it like that, you know. But I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I mean it in like a great way. It's you just have your own thing, and you know, I think you just found it sounds like, you know, you found your own thing just by less to do with like really consciously trying to make it your own thing, and more to do with just not copying other people, not doing what they do, you know.
And because I love music, I fearfully try to stay away from becoming other people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Too close. You know what I mean? But was I the only vocal person that sent you tracks that were like, what, did I have the worst recording?
No, I thought you did a good job. I've been getting some. I've been getting all sorts of weird stuff, and it's all good though, because these days, like I've got more plugins than I've had hot dinners. Like I can make anything sound good at this point. So
you did when I come in and I go patow, right? I see that it clipped. I saw that it clipped to the fullest clip. You know,
yeah. I barely touched that specific song that you're talking about. So when I delve into it, you know, I can sort all that out. It's they're like plosives and things like that. They have a plugin for that these days. Okay. Yeah.
I got it. Can I talk about the tracks now, or should I wait?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I have played them so many times. Like I love them. I because you know, I don't do as a non, you know, traditional vocalist. It's not like I'm doing other, you know, things, you know, so to hear my voice in a different person's style is just such a treat. Like I love the not just style, but the world that both songs bring. You know, they're both different. But when I heard that first one, can I say the titles, or should I wait on that?
No, I'm not hiding it from anybody. Yeah.
When I first heard Deader Than Dead, sometimes I get a little nervous or anxious with overexcitement when a song is like really good, because now it's up to you.
Yeah.
Like if it's really good, you're like, oh no, I have to reach the song. When someone gives you a song that it's not, you know, you're just not blowing your mind. You're like, well, I'll help this song. I'll help this song get better, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when I heard Deader Than Dead, I was like, oh man, we got to do a good job.
Got to bring it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be on it.
That's awesome. You were like, you know, first one or two people I thought of, because one of the things that we did years ago was I did a remix of LAX by you guys, and I had a really good experience doing that, and because of it, I listened to your voice like 20,000 times because I was mixing it. And right. And I was, you know, I always thought in the back of my head we might be able to do something later on. We also had a little bit of a crack at doing a theme tune for a do you remember for a TV show? But I don't think I was experienced enough of a producer to quite pull it off at that point.
Yeah, well, I've done those things now a couple times, and they basically, you kind of submit and like 5 people, and then you work your butt off for it, and then they choose one, and then off you go.
Yeah. No, totally. I do a little bit of that myself, and it can be a bit soul destroying for exactly that reason, because you put all this effort into it and you end up like thinking your submission is just the best thing ever, and then they're like, no, and then it's so quickly over, you know.
And sometimes they don't even tell you if you didn't get it.
Yeah. But
I had this fun one once where it was like the show Peking Duckling, and so it's already funny. You're already talking about like a duck. You're already talking. And I didn't get the theme song, but I got the outro credits. And the theme song, I forget the artist, but it's like a super big, awesome artist. I just have terrible memory of things, but it's I'll forget it later. But it's one of those like you're like, oh wow, okay. It's not like the Violent Femmes, of course, but it's like somebody that if you said their name, they'd be like, oh, geez.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but then I hear his, intro, and you can't help but go, I like mine better.
Yeah.
But you love his band. He did do a great job. He got it, but you're like, and you're thinking about, you're stressing over Peking, man. You're a duck.
That's hilarious.
That's pretty damn funny.
So yeah, on all the group text and everything, Hector's playing the bass on most of those tunes too. Just so you know.
Awesome songs.
Yeah. No, he I think it was about 4 of them or something he started out with, and shot him over to me. He's like, hey, what do you think? You want to lay down some bass? I'm like, hell to the yes.
You're speaking on Education. That's not the name of it though.
Oh, that one. Nina. That one's called Nina's Yard.
That's the new one.
I thought. Your vocals on that. I mean, obviously, right after you told me that was your voice, immediately I went, "Oh, of course it is. Of course it is." I don't know if you remember, but I was asking. I was like, "Who is singing on this?" I was like, "This is." It's such a sweet spot, and I know you've been living in Florida in the States for a while, but I gotta say, I mean, if any U.S. ska enthusiast is out there, gotta keep up with the British bands. That is just a whole different, I don't mind saying better, approach to just your normality. Like the scene, some of the way people do triplets in the vocals, just certain styles that multiple people can do. Just the U.S. just doesn't do it.
It's funny you brought that up though, because we were talking earlier about the song he just let me hear before the podcast, and it's his latest one over, and he's got a lot of those like triplets and things in there. In I wouldn't say the chorus, maybe is that what the part is? Yeah, but it's it was just like I'm hearing it, and I'm like, and that's what I love about ska. Like it just sounded so good. Wait till you hear that one.
Yeah, man, I'll send it over. I tell you what, there is a difference between the approach from the UK and the approach from the USA. The thing is, though, on balance, I have to kind of admit that the sheer amount of music that comes out of the USA and ska, and also just the horns. We don't touch your horns by a million miles, but I think it's a big part of that is because we don't have like marching bands in schools.
Oh, good point.
So I think we're just not trained up like in the same way. And so when you get a UK ska band with a really good horn section, that is honestly pretty rare. But like USA ska bands with good horn sections, there's a bunch, Yeah,
no, I hear that. I just like the idea of any horn player from the UK hearing you say that, being like, come on, we're not that
bad. Well, I was a horn player in a ska band, and I can admit it. So
And from Random Hand, he's like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, exactly. No, Robin's amazing. Robin's truly amazing, and there's tons of good horn players. Don't get me wrong, but I think just it's not that there aren't good individual ones. It's just the volume of awesomeness that comes from the US.
Yeah, marching band thing. I think that's exactly what it must be.
Yeah.
Also, that's how a lot of us find each other.
Yeah. No, that's it. Did you guys meet in college?
Yeah, it was like right away. It was like right. It's kind of a funny story. So Mark, who was in the band, he played guitar at the time. We were just going to play Operation Ivy. I saw he was wearing a ska pin. It's like the most cliche thing. I was like, "Oh, you like ska?" Like literally, that's like how it happened. He was like way more well versed. I was only at like Operation Ivy and the Bosstones and a little bit of the Specials, only because that's all that was presented to me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have friends doing, and so I knew everything about those artists, and then he was just like, "What about this? What about this? What about that?" So he said, "Let's jam Operation Ivy songs like tomorrow." And I was on drums, and he's on guitar. I'm like, "Oh my god, awesome! I didn't know this was going to happen." And that night, just for a quick story, I was looking through our dorm, and our dorm was shaped like a donut. And so you could see across to the other windows. And I see this really big guy kind of beating up his roommate, literally just throwing him around. And then that morning I get in the elevator and it was that kid. And I go, hey, I saw you kind of beating up your roommate last night through a window. Like, what was that all about? And he goes, you wouldn't follow the rules. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I remember being like, don't hang out with this kid.
Wow.
And Steve showed up. Mark had gotten Steve to play bass that night. And he walked through the door as the bass player. And I went, oh, shit.
I'm going to die.
And he's been my best friend for since then.
That's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So listen, I think we can call it a day there. But is there anything, because we're going to put this on YouTube, but it's also going to be some like clips and stuff that we put on social media. Is there anything about the tour or in general that you want to kind of get out there?
I guess there'd be just one thing that I'd like to get out there because Hector, you mentioned the title of the record.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is kind of like the most important thing, obviously for the record, but also just like in my brain right now. So it's like what that is during lockdown and stuff. You talked to some friends you haven't talked to in a while, and a lot of my friends who are really good artists. I just happen to be lucky enough to grown up in Allston, which is outside of Boston. All the artists live there. Have to be a painter, Matt Hooker, a painter, and all these different amazing photographers, yada, yada, yada. A lot of them guitar players were saying, I think I'm going to, stop doing painting, stop doing my art. I'm going to get a jobby job. And I'd be like, why?
Yeah.
And would say the same thing. Well, I just wasn't good enough. And that I wasn't good enough, that just like kills me, because I thought we were all in the same place these days where we knew that the connected, the rich and the fortunate, they get it first. Do you know what I mean? And it's just the way it is. And those people aren't doing anything wrong. The rich, the fortunate and the connected, they're not doing anything wrong, but it's just a reality that they're going to, get it first or be the only ones who get it. But these amazing artists shouldn't think they're not good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, and art is a superpower. Like my wife can illustrate, like she can draw you exactly as you are with a pencil. And I didn't even know she could do that until years later. I was like, oh, you can do this. And it's like, you can't like superheroes. That's your mutant power. You know what I mean? And so just because Batman was filthy rich, right? Superman was born into it. Do you know what I mean? But we still need Havoc and Rogue and Wolverine and Deadpool. Maybe you guys don't save as many people, but the world still needs you. Do you know what I mean? So if any artist is out there, just keep doing it. Don't be the person who gives up. It's a class war to do your dream. And so just keep doing it. And I know I'm being long-winded, and don't worry about being big or famous, because I'll let you know, I hang out with some of those people who are the headline, and guess what? Nobody seems very happy. They don't seem that sane, and it doesn't seem like being the best is very healthy. Anyway, so don't even shoot for it. And lastly, think about it like hamburgers. Like McDonald's sells the most hamburgers, but in my opinion, I wouldn't say that a McDonald's hamburger is the best hamburger out there. Some people with small shops, food trucks, and maybe you make a better hamburger than the person who sells the most hamburgers. You know what I mean? So just artists, continue being artists, please.
Yeah, that is exactly it, man. That's pretty much the message behind the podcast that we do, and it's something that I believe wholeheartedly. And it was something that I came to, a few years ago now, and that gave me a lot of peace. It's just do it. Doesn't just the difference between being a musician and not being a musician is whether you are doing it or not.
I'll tell you, meeting you is amazing. Talking to you is awesome. Doing this podcast with Ben and talking to people like you is amazing. But the message you just gave me, gave us in general, actually just spoke to me so directly. And Ben knows, I'm actually, besides a musician, I'm an artist. I do like the 3D street art and stuff. I am my worst critic. I am always in my own head. I probably block myself from opportunities just because I get anxiety over it. And I just did a trip to Colombia where I was an invited international artist to do a piece, out at this big festival and everything. I almost pretended I was sick and didn't go because I had so much anxiety. And Ben was the one that was like, get out of your own head, go do it. You don't have to be the best. Just enjoy it and do your thing. And that's exactly what you just said. And honestly, I just felt like you were talking to me directly. Ben wasn't even in the room. It was just a tunnel, and you were just talking to me, man. So I appreciate that. That was actually an amazing message.
Hey, man.
Funny how it's tragic and funny how, I guess tragedy is humor, but how simple the message is and we all hear it, but it's blocked. For me, what unblocked it was, if I could do one quick one, what unblocked it for me, other than I've never wanted to be in a big band. I just wanted to be in a band.
Sure.
Write music. Was I was driving down this dirt road where I was from, and there's this like gazebo that like people used to use, you imagine, in like the long time ago, but nobody uses this teeny little gazebo near this lake. But I drove by it and it was like full of fanfare and like decorations, and I could tell music was coming from it. So I had to pull the car over and go, what is going on? I've lived here. This is really weird. So I walked over, and what it was an old folks home that was having an outing, and everyone was dressed to the nines. Like it was like a Twilight Zone, amazing, going through into a different dimension. But the best part about it was the band were the people too, the people who stay at the old folks home. And it was like this woman drummer, like a grandma drummer, grandma singer, and the guys, grandpas playing. And they were so good, like talent wise. Like the drummer was just so good and the singer was so good. And it was that moment that I went, oh, you don't have to stop.
Yeah. No, that's it. You don't, man. You don't have to stop. And it drives me nuts. I feel like it's something that gets it's something that gets imprinted into us. Maybe it's our parents, maybe it's just social thing that there's this idea that that's for the young. And I think the reason might be because, it was said to them and they've given up a lot of what they wanted to do to kind of pursue this other avenue, this other life. And so they kind of, they just end up passing it on. But it's like programmed in us to think that.
It is.
And well, I mean, at the end of the day, what is life? What is life? We're just here doing stuff for some reason. So you can do whatever you want, Yeah,
no, it is, man. It is. I mean, I get it from my mom.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I guess if we're on the tip, let me promote an artist. I have a good friend named King Margaret. If you look for her, and what she does is she does miniature stuff, and she does these amazing paintings on matchboxes.
Yeah.
But so diminutive and small that, I don't know, I just figured if we're talking about artists, give her a little shout.
What was that name again?
Margaret.
Awesome. I'll look that up.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of check my phone just to make sure if it's not like, if I'm not doing it 1,000% right, but it's, just little matchbox things. And for anybody out there who doesn't, I'm sure people listening do have art friends, support them like you were giving him the pet talk to not be in your head, like try to listen to your friends' demos and try to buy your friends' canvases for their birthday, and keep it going, or the fortunate and rich people will just get it all. They'll even get art.
Yeah, exactly. Well, man, it's been a pleasure, and stay on the line real quick after this. But I just want to say, you're coming down to Fort Lauderdale on November 7th, playing with the Interrupters and the Slackers, which are two of my favorite bands. You guys, one of my favorite bands, so I'm just gonna have a blast that night. I can't wait. We're gonna show up, and maybe I was thinking something. We might even be able to, for those songs, if I bring a little camera, we might even be able to sing some of it stood next to each other and put it in one of the videos we're making.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just do it.
Awesome.
All right, wicked, man. Thanks so much, Dave. You're an intelligent and thoughtful man, and you're an absolute scar warrior. I've been doing this, doing this for a long time and doing it well. So it's all, it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take it easy.
Cheers.